Hi everyone, it's Lucy from My Crazy Craft Life, and I'm here today with the September Flavor of the Month card kit reveal. And I'll be making these 4 cards using the sketches that are provided over at the Scrapping for Less website. You can download them over there, as well as the ingredient sheet with everything that you get. So for the first collection, collection 1, I used sketch 2. And if you saw my sneak peek, I actually used this collection as well for the sneak peek. But for this one with sketch 2, I decided I wanted to make a shaker card because it comes with Let's Talk Bees by Scrapping for Less as the paper. Yes, Teresa's making her own papers on Kim over there, so we're really excited for that. And the stamp is Bumblebee Marcy, created exclusively for Scrapping for Less from La La Land Crafts. But in the kit came some glass beads, Bumblebee ephemera that is made by Scrapping for Less also, and sequins by Buttons Galore. So since I had those glass beads, I wanted to make a shaker card. So I thought that sketch 2 was kind of perfect for a shaker card because it had that circle in there. One thing I will say about the Scrapping for Less paper, it's a glossy paper, so it can be kind of tricky to stamp on. If you're going to stamp on it, you want to use like a StazOn ink, or in this case I used embossing ink, and I heat embossed it with some embossing powder when I stamped on the sentiment, because otherwise you're going to have some trouble with it drying on there. So you just want to make sure that you think about it before you just stamp on it, because it will smear easily because it is a glossy paper. It's a beautiful paper. I loved it. I thought the colors are just amazing and the paper is really adorable. And I was super excited when I was making these Bumblebee cards. I did one for the sneak peek, like I said, and I just really loved it. Now, because I have so many layers on this, I did have to die cut it. I ran it through the machine a couple times. I have a Sizzix Big Shot, and I did have to run it through there a couple times. And then the edges, right where kind of that last little banner is across the center, I just ended up cutting that with my X-Acto knife just because I would have had to keep running it through and I didn't want to keep doing that. And here I was looking for my X-Acto knife because even though I have a whole little set, see, everything's right there, easy to get. Yeah, I couldn't find it in there. But I did end up finding it, and I just, like I said, cut that little edge off on each side. Now, the paper that was included with this set, it's all my favorite things paper, except for the 2 pieces of Nina 110 smooth white solar crest cardstock. And the colors you're going to get are tangy orange, jelly bean green, black licorice, lemon drop, hot fudge, and whipped cream. So when you see me working with the card bases, those are the colors that I am choosing from for this set. Now, one of the things with the sneak peek card that I made, I used the Tim Holtz watercolor paper to kind of make a panel to put the little girl bee dressed up as a bee in there, and I used my mustard seed distress crayon to make that panel, and I thought that turned out really cool. But here, after I created my circle with the die cut, I put a piece of acetate on there, and I taped that down with some double-sided tape, and then I used some foam tape all around the rest of it so that I could make the shaker part of it. Yeah, that would make sense. So I just stick that in there. I cut off the edge that was still there that I made too long for it, and then I decided to use that edge for my sentiment. So when I cut the bottom off, because I already stuck the foam tape on, there's another little hint. If you're going to cut your card bases or card panels or anything like that, do it before you put your foam tape on, because sometimes it can look a little wonky. But what I ended up doing was, like I said, using that piece and putting it on the bottom and putting the sentiment on there. Now, I don't know if I cut that with the last card I made, but I cut the sentiment off of the bottom of that stamp and just used the sentiment. Cute as can be is the sentiment with that little bumblebee girl that is so unbelievably adorable. Now for this one, for the sneak peek, I used my Copics to color everything. For this one, I decided to use some of my Spectrum Noirs. I haven't used them in a while. I thought they needed some love. I did end up using for the skin tones the Copics because I do like those better than the skin tones they have in the Spectrum Noir markers. But for everything else on there, I use the Spectrum Noirs, and I thought the coloring came out really well. I thought they blended really well. I used the Nina 110-pound smooth white Solar Crest cardstock to stamp my images on. I use Memento Tuxedo Black ink when I'm coloring with Copics. I try to make sure I always use that. That's my kind of favorite go-to one. So that's what I use to stamp the images, and they work the best that I've found with Copics with alcohol markers, Spectrum Noirs, or whatever kind of alcohol markers you have. I think they work the best with the least amount of bleeding and smudging and that type of thing. You do want to make sure that you don't start coloring with it immediately after you stamp them, because sometimes it can happen, but just let it dry for a few minutes, and like I said, I've never had a problem with them. I use a lot of sparkle on this little bee and the sneak peek card, as well as this one with the Spectrum Noir sparkle pen. That's really my favorite because it is clear. I have Winkostella. Winkostella is one of my favorites too, I guess you might say. But that one has a little tint of color. It looks kind of a silverish color, and I just think the Spectrum Noir goes on clear other than the sparkle, the glittery kind of coloring onto it, or whatever you want to say. But I really like the Spectrum Noir Sparkle pen. That is one of my favorites. And I was going to do a couple different things with this dress, and then I decided it was going to end up being the same as the other one. I wanted to make the ruffles different colors, you know, layer it with black, but I ended up thinking that that would just be, I don't know, too much. So I didn't end up doing that. I did make this little girl with brown hair instead of blonde like I did the first one, just to change it up a little bit. And then what I end up doing is just cutting her out and then putting it on kind of on top of the shaker, in between on the side of the shaker, I guess you want to say. So you can still get all of the elements of the shaker, but you also can definitely, she stands out and is definitely part of the card. Now with the banana split level, I just wanted to kind of mention, I already mentioned the distress crayon that you get. The watercolor paper, you'll get 3 sheets of it. You'll get a leaf or a word die by Spellbinders. I got a word die that said Grateful. And then you also get Grateful by Altenew, a stamp set that was created exclusively for Scrapping for Less. So that ends up making the entire banana split level card. Now I did just fussy cut this, and I didn't keep all of that in there because I'm sure you can all figure out how I fussy cut it. And then I also used just a zip black marker to go over the edges of it just to kind of finish it off. I did end up popping her up. These are these foam dots. I'm not sure where I got them from. I think Michael's is where I got them from, or Joann's Fabrics maybe, but I'm not really a fan of them. They're really, really, really high, thick ones, and I don't normally like them because they're so thick on there, but I thought for this card they'd be cute. Then just to finish off the sketch, I'm going to be adding those couple sequins onto the side of it, and then that will finish off my first card, of course, after I add all of my sparkle. Now you can layer up your sparkle pen. I don't know if a lot of people do that or not, but I wanted a lot of sparkle on this, so I actually waited, let it dry for a few seconds, and went back over it again. So it really, really sparkles, and there's a lot of sparkle on these little girls, which, like I said, I think are so adorable. Now, for the second card, I am using Collection 2, which includes Fall Breeze paper by Photoplay, the stamp Scarecrow Marcy by La La Land Crafts that was created exclusively for Stamping for Less, and then it has a cute little sentiment that says, hey, H-A-Y, hey there. Scarecrow Punch-Outs, Craft Twine, and then Sequins by Buttons Galore. And for collection 2, I used Sketch 3. Now, with this, I ended up not using the stamp. The Scarecrow Punch-Outs are just adorable, and I really wanted to use that one because I just thought he was so cute. So I just used the paper. I kind of followed along with the sketch. And one of the things I did for that little circle on there, one of the patterns of paper that I got in the kit had a wood grain circle pattern to them. So I actually just it kind of looks like a tree that's cut. The entire trunk is cut into like slabs, you might want to say. And so I just cut one of those circles out and used that as the circle, and I thought that worked out really well. So this is a pretty simple card, just using the papers, cutting out, following the sketches. I did put the sentiment, I cut it off of the stamp there, and I used the hay there. I did that, I stamped that with the VersaFine ink, and then I just added a couple sequins, and that one is that second collection. And I thought that turned out super cute because, like I said, those little scarecrows are just adorable that are part of the punch-outs that are part of that collection. Now, collection 3 ingredients, it's kind of exciting because Teresa has some stamps that she created for Scrapping for Less, and the stamp is called Teresa Talks Fall by Scrapping for Less, so they are making them. I did use a Tim Holtz platform just to do the stamping for this because that girl is really, really long, and I wanted to make sure I got a good solid stamped image for it, so I didn't want to mess it up. So that's why I used a platform, just to make sure that I ended up getting that. So that girl is about 4 inches long, so you got some room there to work with it and stuff. Now for collection 3, I use sketch 1, and you'll kind of see it's not exactly the same as sketch 1. Excuse me. I follow the general pattern of it, but you know, sketches are there for inspiration. It doesn't mean everything has to be 100% exactly the same. Now for this image, I used the Copics to do the coloring, and then I do end up fussy cutting her out. It's just a really cute stamped image. I really got a kick out of that. But the reason why I've been fussy cutting, I got my new scan and cut machine. I got the newest model, the DX, and I haven't played with it a lot, and I didn't want to ruin my stamps, I guess you might want to say, until I figured out exactly what I'm doing. I still have my other one, and I could have plugged it in and done it, but since I was just doing one image, and it's a pretty simple image to cut out, it's not a lot of intricacy in the image, so you can cut it out easily that way. The stamp itself has a lot of intricate parts. The sweater is really cute. Her face is adorable. The hair, I really got a kick out of. Like I said, this whole stamp set is really adorable, and I really enjoyed coloring it, and I think you just have so many options with it. Then you have the pumpkin with the cup of coffee over there for the fall, so I thought that was really cute too. I ended up not using that stamp, but I do really think that's cute, and I think it's a larger image, so it could definitely be a focal point on a card easily. I was just trying to make her eyes blue there. And then if you see there, I didn't print out the cards or the sketches yet, so I was looking at it on my phone. So like I said, this is sketch 1 for collection 3, and I was just deciding on the papers and what I wanted to do. Collection 3, I don't know if I said what the ingredients were, but it's Stay a While by Bo Bunny is the paper. The stamp set again is Teresa Talks Fall by Scrapping for Less. Petaloo purple and blue flower combos. Craft round tags, and sequins by Buttons Galore. So that is what is part of this collection. And like I said, as you can see, I was following along with how the sketch looked and putting the panels on the back for the layering, and then that image, like I said, takes up a good portion of the card, so you really kind of got to think about that when you're using it. And then for that little banner strip there, I was going to put the sentiment on there, and I was trying to figure out, because I didn't want it sideways, so I ended up just kind of flipping that over and kind of putting that kitty corner in and there I was looking at the die that came in the banana split level that said grateful, and I was thinking about maybe using that one possibly for the sentiment. But like I said, I ended up just using that strip and just end up turning it kind of kitty corner. And I used embossing powder and embossing ink to put the sentiment on that strip. So here I'm just getting all of the panels taped down, putting them together, creating the card. After I picked out all of my papers, I really love fall. I love these deep dark colors for cards. I think they're really cute. I like bright, dark, deep colors. As I'm sure you've noticed in most of my cards, I rarely use white or leave a lot of white. I know that's just a preference thing. That's just me, and I don't know. And the sentiment I used is from the stamp set that says Fall Greetings. I used the Stampendous silver embossing powder and the Brutus Monroe embossing ink that I used in a prior project for Scrapping for Less. Like I said, I really, really like that embossing ink. I really, really like it. I don't know what else to say, but like I said, I've always been a big Versamark fan, but I'm almost thinking I might like this one better. Not that I will never use Versamark again, but I really do like that embossing ink. And then the embossing powder, the reason why I ended up going with that is, one, because it was silver, but I was thinking about maybe using a copper or something. But since I already had that down, and it was a fairly thin piece of paper, I wanted to, or a thinner piece of cardstock, I wanted to make sure that I didn't warp it too much. And that Stampendous silver fine embossing powder is very, very fine, and it heats up really, really nicely and really, really quickly. So I did pop up the lady there, and then I popped up the sentiment, and like I said, I just put that kind of kitty corner in on the card. I end up putting a few sequins around, and that is about it for that card. I was looking and trying to figure out what I was going to do. I did not use any sparkle on this one just because I thought that I just didn't think it really needed it. Between the flowers and the background patterns and the floral different things, I just thought it was kind of perfect with this. So that is the third card from collection 3 using the sketch 1. And now on to the fourth collection. The fourth collection is kind of exciting also because the stamp set is Give a Hoot by Scrapping for Less, which I did not use the stamp because I ended up just making a card using the papers, but I love owls. I think they're adorable. And this stamp set is really cute. There's a very, very large image of an owl, and then there's a smaller one, and then a tree, along with some flowers and stuff, and I just think that's going to be super cute. So I'm definitely going to have to make something with that later on. But in the meantime, I just ended up using this paper, and the paper is Amber Moon by Prima, and it is gorgeous. The colors of it, I just really, really loved it. And so I decided to make the whole card just using the papers, and I'm using sketch 4. So collection 4, sketch 4 for this one. And I do end up turning it sideways instead of having it go up and down like the sketch. I just kind of flipped it around and did it in the opposite direction. The rest of the stuff that is in the collection, you get googly eyes for the little owl, the small owl they will fit perfectly with. So like I said, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be making something with that really soon because that is way too cute, especially with the googly eyes. And then you get bronze feather charms that you can use, and then sequins by Buttons Galore. Now the sequins that are part of this kit, part of this collection, they have like some round ones, but they also have these leaf patterned ones. And so because I was doing sketch 4, it kind of had that bow looking thing on it, you know, like you would normally put a bow or something like that. So what I ended up deciding to do was I put a sequin in the center for kind of the center of the bow, and then I ended up putting the leaves, 3 leaves on each side of it to kind of give it that effect of it billowing out there. And that really is it for the 4th card. So I thought that one was kind of simple and easy, but it ends up beautiful because, like I said, that paper is just amazing. And I just loved how that one turned out as well. So I want to thank everyone for joining me, and I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you.